Good evening, guys, girls. I hope we're doing good today. I'm going to go over our video today, which is the area formulas of some polygons. Specifically, we will be talking about triangles and parallelograms today only. Your learning target for today is that you will be able to apply formulas to the area of specific polygons. Okay, and those polygons again are going to be triangles and parallelograms today. So make sure that you write down the title, make sure you write down the learning target, and I'm going to go on to the next screen. And make sure you pause if you need to during the video. If you need to make sure you're copying everything down as I go through it. First, let's talk about triangles. Our triangle formula, and this is extremely important, so make sure you write this down. Our triangle formula is area equals one half the base times the height. Now when you look at a triangle, how do you know what the base and the height are? Well, the base and the height are perpendicular to each other. So this sentence right here is extremely important, that the base and the height are perpendicular to each other. Perpendicular means 90 degrees. So when I'm looking for my base and my height, I'll be looking for this symbol right there. That symbol of my triangle is going to help me determine my base and my height, where they cross. Okay? These other two dimensions over here, they don't mean anything. So I'll be looking for my base and my height. So it is important that when you look at this, that you are looking for this 90-degree mark right there. And again, the area formula is area equals 1/2 base times height. Make sure you write that down. Base and height are perpendicular to each other. Okay, if you need to pause, go ahead. Otherwise, I will be moving on. In our first example here, we're going to find the area of the triangle. When I find the area, I'm going to write the formula, write my substitution step, and write my answer with the label. Okay, now I have lots of numbers on there, and again, first thing I'm going to do is write my formula. Area equals 1/2 base times height. Now I'm going to look at my shape for my base and my height. Here is my perpendicular symbol, so which two dimensions make that up? 15 feet and 26 feet. Those are my base and the height of the triangle. So those are the numbers I'm going to plug in. So that's going to be 1/2. My base is 26 times 26 times my height of 15. Okay, in your calculator, if you need to, use 0.5 for 1/2. 0.5 times 26 times 15. When I type that in my calculator, I get 195, and then my answer with label, feet squared. Area is always squared units. That's how many little squares I can fit in there. So area is always squared units. So it's 195 feet squared. Okay? And if you need to pause, go ahead and pause. Otherwise, I'm moving on to my next page. Next, let's talk about parallelograms. My formula for a parallelogram might look similar to the triangle without the 1/2. Okay? Parallelograms, remember, includes rectangles and squares. So rectangles and squares are still in parallelograms, so they're still following the same rule. The formula for the area of a parallelogram is area equals base times height. Area equals base times height. How do I find my base and height? I just recopied that same sentence. The base and the height are perpendicular to each other. So again, I am looking for my symbol here to find my height and my base, the two that are perpendicular that I need to multiply. A parallelogram, guys, is basically a rectangle where I can cut out this section over here, cut out that triangle, move that triangle over here, redraw it, and hey, here is my rectangle here, which has the base. This part here is now over here, so the base is the same length and the height. So basically the same thing as a rectangle, but I'm looking for that perpendicular line when I do that. If you need to pause, go ahead. Otherwise, I am moving on to my next slide. In example 2 here, we're going to find the area of the parallelogram. Again, write the formula, substitution step, and the answer with the label. So I look for my area of the parallelogram formula. That is area equals base times height. So that's what I'm going to use. I have lots of numbers, again, more numbers than I need. So I'm going to look for my 90-degree marking, my perpendicular. I'm going to do the base, I'm going to do the height. So I'm going to do 24 times 12. And when I multiply 24 and 12 in my calculator, I get 288 feet squared. Area is always squared units. And by squared, I mean that little 2 up there. So make sure you always have your label, and make sure you always have the correct label. Okay? If you need to pause, go ahead. Otherwise, I'll be moving on to the next slide. In my next slide, I'd like to you to try these on your own. So what I want you to do is pause the video right now, try both of these, and then press play and see what the answers are. So I'll wait a second or two to give you time to pause before I move on. Okay, hopefully now you pause the video and you're not just copying down my answers. I want to try these on my own. The first shape is a triangle. The dotted lines on the outside don't mean anything. So I'm going to do area equals 1/2 base times height. So that is a triangle. So that's 1/2. My base is 16. That's the distance from here to here, times 16. And my height is the perpendicular distance. So that's the dotted line right there. So that is 8 feet. The 9 feet is not perpendicular to the base. So I'm still looking for that symbol there, even if it's outside. So 1/2 times 16 times 8, that is 64 feet squared. Again, formula, substitution step, answer with label. In problem 2, I'm going to do it's a parallelogram. So I'm going to do area equals base times height. I plug in. Again, I'm looking for my perpendicular symbol down there. So that's the 8 and the 25. So that's going to equal 25 times 8. And 25 times 8 is 200. Again, my unit, feet squared. Do not forget your unit on your problems. Okay. If you need to pause to write that down or check your work, go ahead. Otherwise, I am moving on. That is it for our video today. Do not forget to write your summary. So don't just click off this, hit next on your summary, answer the 2 questions you have tonight, and write your summary. Otherwise, have a great night, and we'll see you in class tomorrow.